here so that they can go work on these fishing boats. Several problems there, none of which I probably have to mention, but the one that kind of bothers me the most is most of these kids are used to untangle the nets as they get tangled up down in the water. Problem is 75% of them can't swim. So, you know, use your imagination to figure out what happens, and that's what happens. So that's a problem. So be real nice so we can keep them in school. All right, so this is the well in Adediasi Junction. And this well, again, these people are just as patiently as can be waiting their turn to come get their water. These things that look like kerosene filters, they'll swish those out and clean them out, and then they'll put those on their head. I tried to put one on my head and I fell over. Unfortunately, there is no video that I'm aware of that. I think it would have already been out there by now if it was. But anyway, they fill those up and they go back home, and then the next day they come back and get them again. One of my goals for the school in Adediasi Junction is to be able to have a well there for the kids that it's going to have to be a hand well because there is no electricity unless we find an engineer that can figure out how to solar panel it to get enough power into it to mechanize it. Otherwise, the goal is for the kids to be able to take water home with them at night as well as have clean water throughout the day. Right now, most of the kids that go to school, they may have something to the equivalent of this in a little plastic bag, and that's their water for the next 6 to 8 hours. I went through about 5 or 6 of these every 8 hours just to stay hydrated, and we didn't use the bathroom much. That's how sweaty it was. Anyway, so these, and by the way, there's right next to this there's a tree where there's just that many people, waiting their turn just patiently and just all getting along. All right, so part of how we do what we do is we partner with other Rotarians throughout Ghana. This was the Sunyani East Club where I had the joy of visiting. And I visited 5 different clubs while we were there. And one of our dear friends, Rose Donker, is a member of this club, and she's actually over here in America right now. And she's the one who got us involved in the Sunyani area. These individuals, you can see that he's got the cool shirt on like me now, so I'm part of the Cool Kid Club. Anyway, and they are doing what they can to try and, through the global grant process, work with us and work with others to try and provide even more clean water to Ghana. I may get my dates wrong, but I believe it was 2002 when Walter Hughes first went to Ghana. And he said he went because he felt like God sent him. And you know, Rotary is not a religious organization. Thank goodness Rotary is not a political organization. I don't mind telling anybody that that one of the bases for my faith and why I love Rotary so much is that I don't give a rip what your faith is or if your faith is. The man that I refer to as my Lord and Savior stood on a hilltop in a pair of sandals and said, "Hey, who's hungry and who's thirsty?" And he didn't really care who you were. And that's another reason why I love Rotary so much, because in this community here, and in almost all the communities that I went to throughout Ghana, you saw Muslim and Christian children walking side by side, hand in hand. Nobody cared, and it was one of the first places I saw where they just got along. They got along because they had no choice. They had no choice. So anyway, that's how they roll. All right, so listening to the community leaders. Well, it's easy enough to go into a community and say, here's what I think you need. It's another thing to actually listen to the community and make sure that they have buy-in. I found out in working with teenagers a long time ago that if a fat, bald guy put a bunch of activities together and just said, hey, here's what we're doing, a few people would sign up, but most people would say, well, you know, up yours. Okay? Well, when I brought the young people together, for those of you that don't know me, I'm a little blunt. Okay? So what would happen is, when I would bring the kids together and say, what matters to you? What matters to you? What do you want to do? Well, Mr. Williams, MW, this is what we want to do. Well, then I had them put the schedule together. I then put it out, and lo and behold, miraculously, we filled the buses up with no problem at all. Well, same concept in Ghana. Okay, you listen to the community leaders, you listen to them, you don't just listen to them, but when you notice there's a group that has 5 men on it, the first thing you say is this conversation's over. Until you get 3 women on this council, I'm not talking to you. I'm just not talking to you, because you're going to tell me what you want. Not to be hurtful, but you know, we are who we are. All right. So every council that we listen to there has to have at least 2 ladies. We recommend 3, because as is the case of my last 24 plus years, that the sanity in my life keeps the ball rolling. Okay. Here's the way compromise works. Okay. Okay. The man has his opinion. The wife has her opinion, and then if the man has any sense, he just does what he's told. Okay? So, having said that, it's okay to laugh. Okay, having said that, in these communities, there's always a chief exec, there's always a chief. The chief, unfortunately, is always a guy. But the chief is usually married. And so we started recommending that the chief put his wife on the council, which he wasn't too in favor of. But his wife thought that was a great idea. And then all of a sudden things started getting done because if people said, listen, here's what we need, blah, 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 blah. So these children are still in school, so they're pretty excited. Anyway,
Michael, I think they just messaged you on your WhatsApp.
Yeah.
they probably did.
They said it's Independence Day today in Ghana.
Oh, in 1957, for those of you that don't know me, I'm also severely ADHD. Okay, in 1957, Ghana declared its independence from Great Britain. Apparently that was today, a long time ago. So anyway, by the way, the national language in Ghana is English. Most of Ghana didn't get that memo because only about 25% of them speak fluent English. And there's 80 different languages in Ghana. And the primary one is what's called a Khan, and one of their favorite phrases is Akwaba, which is a warm welcome to all. And so from the people of Ghana, Akwaba. Anyway, there we go. All right, and they love rubbing the bald guy's head. They thought that was the coolest thing in the world. And a lot of these kids, honest to God, had never seen a white guy before. So they had heard about white people, and then when they saw one, they were like, "You're really white." Anyway, there we go.
At least it wasn't the Buddha belly.
Yeah, there were some Buddhists that would come up and would kind of just stare at me. I'm like, no, Siddhartha Gautama, no. Anyway, this is the current school in Adediasi Junction. Here's the cool thing. You see these little pillars here? That's what separates the kids. So you have 1st and 2nd grade here, 3rd and 4th grade here, 5th and 6th grade here. There's about 60 to 80 kids there, one teacher. Not a single discipline problem. When the 5th and 6th graders are working on their projects and the teacher's back working with some other group, some of those kids will, through what we call cooperative learning, go up and start working with the others and start tutoring them. A lot of those kids want to become teachers because they know right now after the 6th grade they got nowhere to go. So that's a problem. Anyway, now this is the current site. This is where through a Rotary Global grant, we were able to provide funds to help the Adediasi community purchase the materials to build their own elementary school. It costs about $110,000, $120,000 to build a school, to build a 3-room, 1 office, 1 storage room school in Ghana. You say, how do we do that when we build schools that cost $20 to $40 million? Well, here's how they do it. 1, they're not that big. 2, I got 5 minutes? Crap. All the labor's donated. They make those bricks by hand. They have this machine where they put the dirt and the water and the stuff in, and they make them. And about 80 men that right now are in the middle of the dry season come back and help build this school together. They donate their time. So move. Why won't that move? Okay, so anyway, this is the women of the community would bring the water from about 400 yards away, like the 4 football fields. They would do that all day long. The men would work, and children during their playtime, their play was coming out and helping to work on the school as well. I just wanted to show that I actually did some manual labor while I was here. So we pitched in as well. All right.
I see that Walter Hughes had to hold a mattock over your head to get you.
Yeah.
There's some other stories there. But anyway, this is a typical, actually this is a very nice house in the Ashanti region. This is near the school. The reason they got sticks on there is because we were ending the dry season and they were trying to keep the house down, keep the roof down so the monsoon didn't blow the roof off. This is raw sewage. Sorry about breakfast, but this is raw sewage. And this is Walter and I trying to figure out where it would make sense to dig a well for this community. This is our team. West Virginia, West Virginia, Virginia, West Virginia, Florida, Virginia, Front Royal. There we go. All right. One of the best I show this, her name is Charity, and it's so appropriate. She's a chief government executive appointed by the president of Ghana for the Tane district where we're trying to build the school. She was literally in there shoveling out dirt with us. They had no backhoes, they had no front end loaders. Everything was done with pick and shovel. Chris, no fun. Anyway, this is me acting like I'm trying to use a hand well. That little girl had just gotten out of school. As soon as she got out of school, she immediately went to the well so she could get water for her family for the evening. Everybody works in Ghana. I didn't take a picture of a toilet because it just seemed like a fun thing to do. But the microflush toilet system, our goal is to try and get them to replace the pit latrine stuff that people, they have good thoughts, but what's happening is the pit latrines are just creating more disease. Kids are falling in them. It's not good. So the whole microflush toilet system works like this. You wash your hands, the water flows down into the, of course you have to have water to wash your hands. Flows down into the holding tank, you do your business. It falls down into this thing, which is like a netting system. It breaks down from there. It then goes into this compost tank where earthworms are underneath, and they process it. And then after a few years, the farmers come, lift the tank off. They take the compost, they fertilize their lawn. They put the lid back on, and it doesn't stink. And it doesn't stink. Anyway, so. This is the future site, my dream. Rotary Global Grant 19-78274. If you guys are interested in helping me make it happen, I need $10,000 to make sure I get the toilet system and the water put in. Interact clubs are trying to help me. Trying to get Interact kids to raise money, bless their hearts. Some of them can do a great job, some of them are very limited in what they can do. So I need 10 grand as part of the 40 grand to make this happen. So you want to pull your checkbooks out today, fine. If you want to pull them out later, that's fine. I'm cool either way. Anyway, and just the journey continues. That's us getting on one of the smaller planes to get up to Adabiasi, to get up to Kumasi. The goat on the back of Walter, that is a traditional thank you from a community for doing nice for the community. And let's just say we ate a lot of goat while we were in Ghana. Anyway, goat makes a good meal. Real quick story. This lady right here, grandmother, to let you know how people take care of one another in their community, which is again 20 miles from electricity. She was making dinner for her grandchildren. Her daughter was off 20 miles away working in the town selling stuff, whatever. She saw a couple of boys walk by, hollered at them in a con. They just kind of went like that, and she made it clear that no wasn't an option. She brings him over, tells her boy something. He runs off, literally grabs a chicken, comes back right there in front of us, takes care of the chicken. They start plucking the chicken, and she made dinner for them as well. Anyway, chicken and rice is their main staple, and they take what they need, and that's about it. Anyway, this is my short version because I'm told I got to shut up. So there's the country of Ghana, there's the United States. God bless us both. Any questions?